Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. We want to make sure we have time to go through everything with you all. First off, we want to just cover a couple of logistics for today. We are recording this session and we do plan to post it on evcan.org. We have everyone muted and we'll have a Q&A at the end. As you move through, if you have any questions that come up, feel free to put them in the questions box, and then we will go through those questions at the end. If there are any technical issues you're having that you want to raise, please put them in the chat window so we can address those right away. We can move to the next slide. All right. So welcome everyone. I'm Carolyn Weiner, Program Director for EVCAN. I've been with Efficiency Forward for a year to develop and launch EVCAN. I have 8 years of experience developing utility programs for transportation electrification and another approximately 6 years of other utility sector experience. My co-presenter is Levin Knock. So Levin, you want to please introduce yourself?
Thanks. Yes, I've worked as a senior technical manager at Efficiency Forward for 9 years, and I've been managing research on emerging technologies for over 30 years, including engineering product development, market research, and energy efficiency.
Great, thank you. Next slide. All right.
Oh.
Here, yep, we're good. Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with an introduction to EVCAN, then move into an overview of the specification, then an update on the application and evaluation process for getting qualified against the specification, and then we'll close with next steps in Q&A. So why don't we go ahead and get started with our first topic, Introduction to EVCAN. All right, you can go next slide. So EVCAN's parent organization is called Efficiency Forward. It's a nonprofit organization and it has been helping electric utilities and municipalities work with electrical equipment manufacturers since 2010. Besides EVCAN, our program, the other program is called Design Lights Consortium, or DLC. Next slide. The DLC is supported by more than 60 utility and municipal members across the US and Canada, but that doesn't tell the whole story. DLC has over 700 organizations requiring DLC qualified lists and works with hundreds of manufacturers of lighting and lighting controls. Next slide. DLC works as a liaison for utility members and industry partners, so they move in coordination more smoothly. The DLC works with efficiency incentive programs to agree on a common set of technical criteria, so manufacturers can meet one set of technical requirements and then qualify for many different programs. We succeed at this by listening carefully to each side and updating our specifications accordingly to find common ground based on research and market feasibility between these two groups. Next slide. We have launched EVCAN to support this massive transition to electric mobility, recognizing that to scale adoption, the ecosystem requires cross-industry collaboration, education, and transparency. EV charging accessibility and reliability remain key barriers, and therefore we've started our journey by inviting utility partners and EV charging technology providers to collaborate with us. We personally invited each of you to this webinar because we see the important role that you're playing in the future of electric transportation, and we want to work with you. Next slide. To support and enable scaled deployment of EV charging, we are working to provide points of collaboration for utilities and industry to share learnings and best practices on technology implementation, build alignment on technical criteria for programs used to support EV charging deployment, and provide tools and resources to educate on key performance expectations, energy management, and energy management for resiliency and safety. Next slide. So to recap a few points about EVCAN, EVCAN is a nonprofit organization. We're specifically a C3, so not a lobbying group. That works as a consortium with utilities, industry experts, and key stakeholders. We aim to be a liaison for utilities and industry, providing opportunities for collaboration to tackle challenges with scaling charging infrastructure and promoting leading industry standards and best practices. EVCAN is not a certification body. It does not create standards, does not test products, and does not purchase or incentivize any equipment directly. Slide. So EVCAN has engaged a subset of utility members interested in a consortium models for electric transportation. We discuss current challenges, key standards that can enable reliability, potential alignment of utility criteria, and what is feasible to address right now. Charge management systems rose to the top to focus on first. We will address other pain points in the future. We are working to enlist more utilities, providing industry partners with a more unified set of technical requirements for utility programming. Next slide. We have published the first version of a specification establishing a set of functions and performance criteria with input from our utility working group and early engaged industry partners. Our goals for charge station management systems is to encourage performance expectations for safety, reliability, and connectivity for smooth station operations that include managed charging, so that operators, customers, and electric utilities can coordinate operations with on-site load and DRs, as well as grid needs. We want to advance in interoperability standardization so that CSMSs can work more smoothly with various EVSEs, and build awareness of key functions that provide value and benefits for charging network operators, for facility owners, and for electric utilities. Next slide. So we look forward to collaborating with each of you and see multiple ways we can work together. We can help evaluate your product against the specification. We can share your perspectives on the specification. We would like you to share your perspectives on the specification. What will work to support scale deployment and operation of charging stations, and work with us on webinars or events that bring different stakeholder groups together to share best practices. Some key benefits that we see in the continued collaboration with us is streamlining qualification for utility programming, visibility of your product for customers investing in charging infrastructure through some co-education we do with utilities, get a chance to differentiate your product with clear alignment to industry-leading best practices, partner with us on technical education and guidance for utilities, and also invest in consistent utility program technical requirements, essentially moving towards designing towards one specification. Next slide. All right. I'm going to hand it over to Levin to start talking about the key features of our CSMS specification. Thank you.
Thanks. So yeah, I'll review the key features of the specification that we've developed based on what utilities are looking for and based on feedback from industry partners about what is available and feasible. So if you haven't already, please download the new EVCAN technical specification on charge station management systems from the EVCAN website in the section for manufacturers at this URL that we'll put in the chat, which is in the chat. Here are the main headings in the document. Carolyn already discussed background and goals. I'll touch briefly on definitions and scope and then spend most of our time in the technical requirements. The specification is about Charge Station Management Systems, or CSMS. CSMS software runs the hardware of electric vehicle supply equipment, or EVSE, at a charging station. To be precise, a CSMS usually includes a little hardware, such as the server it runs on, and an EVSE usually includes some firmware or even software. Still, for the most part, the EVSE is the physical stuff and the CSMS manages what that stuff does. A charge station management system, or CSMS, also sometimes called a charge management system, manages and controls one or more EVSEs, enabling real-time monitoring and remote configuration. All of the CSMSs that meet our specification will also manage energy, controlling the amount of power to each EVSE in real time for efficient and reliable charging operations. As you know, energy management enables installation of new charging stations in localities where the available power is constrained by existing distribution circuits. Here's another way to look at the scope of the document. This specification describes a CSMS including the standardized ways that it communicates between other things, including, starting at the bottom, the EVSE hardware, the e-mobility service provider that interfaces with a collection of EV charging networks, electric utilities and aggregators of demand response and distributed energy resources, and energy management systems and building management systems in commercial and industrial facilities. The specification describes a list of capabilities along with their definitions and how we'll evaluate whether to credit a particular system with having each capability. The word required applies to capabilities that every system on the EVCAN list will offer. We have heard from multiple utilities and municipalities that these are essential to their programs, so we want to promote systems that have these capabilities. The word reported describes other capabilities that are optional. Some qualified systems support some of the reported capabilities and some do not. Here are the main reasons why some criteria are only reported and not required. Some reported capabilities apply to some use cases, such as public charging, but not to other use cases, such as residential charging. Other capabilities are new developments that might become popular but are not broadly available yet. Over time, some of those capabilities might move into the required category. As Carolyn mentioned, we want to work together with providers of charge station management systems that meet this specification, such as you all here today, to help scale up EV charging in a way that works well for electric utilities and for their customers. The technical requirements in the specification are organized into these 7 focus areas. Excuse me. Within areas 1 through 5, some criteria are required and others are only reported. All the criteria in focus areas 6 and 7 are reported. Nothing in 6 and 7 is required yet. I will go through all the capabilities in areas 1 through 5 that are required, meaning that all systems need to meet these criteria to qualify for the EVCAN list. Just to be clear, I'll give you a high-level introduction to each required capability, but I'm not going to cover all the required details that are fully described in the specification text and tables, such as, for instance, exactly how each requirement is evaluated. I'll start with interoperability, the ability for different hardware and software to safely and reliably work together in end-to-end load management across different utilities, aggregators, vehicle types, and EVSE models. In order for EV charging to scale up, interoperability is essential. CSMSs will need to make friends and play well with others in order to support a flexible grid that can deliver a reliable electric service. Certified industry standards are essential to interoperability. EVCAN has 3 requirements for interoperability. First, the CSMS needs to interoperate with EVSEs, as demonstrated by an OCPP certificate for either 1.6 or 2.0.1. We will add 2.1 when a certification test becomes available. To address the need for a CSMS to run seamlessly on multiple EVSE products, OCPP 2.0.1 gets closer to the goal than 1.6. But 2.0.1 is not as widely available yet as we would like, so we'll accept 1.6 for now. In either case, we've heard that neither standard completely avoids the need for customization when installing a CSMS on a new model of EVSE. So we added a requirement that a CSMS must support EVSEs from at least 3 different manufacturers in order to qualify. Multi-vendor interoperability is very important for long-term infrastructure reliability because product lines and even companies come and go. Electric utilities care a lot about investing in reliable infrastructure for the long term. The third requirement for interoperability is that a CSMS needs to support at least one of these 3 pathways to communicate with DERMS of both spellings, with a DERMS, Distributed Energy Resource Management System, or with a DRMS, Demand Response Management System. Both of these terms are important to utilities to support grid stability. The certification can be for SunSpec IEEE 2030.5 or for OpenADR. At the moment, most demand response programs in North America still use OpenADR 2.0b, but OpenADR 3.0 is a lot simpler and is getting traction in Europe, so for now we'll take either one. Those are the ways that a CSMS can make friends and play well with others. The flip side of the same coin is to not make friends by mistake with a hacker. Whoop, went ahead. So we need both interoperability and cybersecurity. For cybersecurity, we relied on industry best practices and divided cybersecurity into 3 areas: process, cloud, and payment. All systems need a cybersecurity certification for the development process to reduce the number of vulnerabilities that are designed into components, systems, and services and that manifest over the product lifecycle. If a system uses any remote cloud services, then cloud cybersecurity is also needed. And if a system has access to payment card data, then payment cybersecurity is also needed. EVCAN recognizes the cybersecurity standards listed here as they apply to process, cloud services, and payment. Within each of these 3 groups, only one certificate is needed. If you know of additional standards that are appropriate and popular in the CSMS market, please let us know so we can consider adding them as more options on this list. This next focus area is called EVSE Monitoring and Control, enabling a CSMS operator to monitor and control EVSE performance. At present, the requirements in this focus area concern monitoring as shown here. By providing a comprehensive view of EVSE status and performance, a CSMS can ensure that operators can make informed decisions, optimize energy use, and maintain the reliability and safety of the charging infrastructure. The first row, status monitoring, concerns the status of the EVSE, the connector, and the network connection. The second row concerns metrics for several aspects of energy and power. Regarding the title of monitoring and control, in addition to these monitoring criteria that are required, this focus area also has some other criteria related to EVSE control, such as remote reset and updating firmware. Those are reported but not required. But there's one aspect of control that is vital to electric utilities, as I mentioned earlier. In order to serve the rapidly electrifying transportation sector, utilities need to coordinate EV charging with all of their grid resources, including distributed energy resources such as rooftop solar panels and stationary batteries, plus all the other things that buildings use electricity besides charging EVs. As you know, energy management capabilities ensure that a CSMS can enable smart EVSE loads to minimize operational expenses and support grid stability while meeting the charging demands of electric vehicles. Our criteria were derived from the NEVI formula program and CEC requirements, plus several standards and industry best practices. In the first row, Every CSMS on our list will respond to a demand response signal from an external source. In the second row, every CSMS will manage the load across multiple EVSE units dynamically in real time to balance EV charging demands with grid constraints. These are relatively new things that some CSMSs can do that electric utilities are eager to support. We want to work together with providers of this type of charge station management system that are described by the specification to help scale up EV charging in a way that works well for everybody. We want to work with you to accelerate charge management. We know how important this is in order for the transportation sector to electrify, and so we want to help CSMS providers who are building this solution. Our combined impact will be the result of our collective effort to shift the market and scale up EV charging. The data analytics and reporting focus area ensures that a CSMS can collect, analyze, and report data securely to authorized third parties through an API and through CSV files. Data reports from EVSEs are needed to comply with regulations, support operation of charging stations, and support grid operators. By leveraging data analytics, a CSMS can provide actionable insights that help operators optimize charging station performance, track trends, and enhance maintenance practices. Our requirements simply say that these reports are accessible. The specification lists a bunch of details of what might be in the reports, but those criteria are all reported, that is optional and not required at this time. In addition to the 5 focus areas with required capabilities that I just went through, we have 4 other requirements that the CSMS is a fully developed product that's actually available and supported in the market. Product information include things like the manufacturer's name, product name, and types of charging supported. A service contract for maintenance and support, or else a warranty, must be available for at least 3 years from purchase. We've heard this software rarely has a warranty, but it needs to at least have a service contract available. The system needs to be commercially available for sale in the US and/or in Canada, with complete final product documentation available either on the system provider's website or in product packaging, or else by customer request. And we need to confirm that the system is fully operational in at least one customer's site, as demonstrated by either a published case study or else by an EVCAN interview with a customer. That concludes the overview of requirements in the EVCAN specification from these 5 focus areas of CSMS capabilities, plus the additional requirements for market support, such as a service contract and a field installation. Besides all those requirements, here's a list of the reported capabilities in the first 5 focus areas that some CSMSs offer and others do not. I'm not going to go through all these today, but you can find information about all of these topics in the specification. And we aim to share communications and/or another webinar in the future to explore the importance of these reported capabilities. If you're completing an application, please be sure to claim any of these that your system supports. That will help your product stand out to anyone using the EVCAN list for product selection. It will also help utilities and EVCAN see how the market is developing, so we can update the specification as needed, adding new criteria and also over time moving some of the reported criteria over into requirements. Here are the reported capabilities in the last 2 focus areas, 6 and 7, that did not fit on the previous slide. While the need for particular kinds of documentation in number 7 varies by use case, we want to acknowledge and celebrate any documentation that's available, because documentation can often make the difference between a system that keeps working reliably versus another system that stopped years ago. As I mentioned earlier, you can download the CSMS specification at this EVCAN webpage. On the same webpage, you can scroll down the page to find a section about the application and evaluation process that I'll talk about next. We encourage you, please apply for qualification under this new EVCAN specification, starting this Friday when we will launch an online application portal where you can fill out an application to submit your product to be included in our public online list of qualified products. Here's an overview of what's next at EVCAN with the application process and beyond. An online application portal is coming this Friday, along with an application fee that we're finalizing this week that will cover the cost of review and also contribute to our efforts to build venues for collaboration between various stakeholder groups in support of interoperability and charge management. As soon as the first few systems have qualified, we will launch a public qualified products list online, which we will promote extensively with communications through social media, webinars, press releases, and blogs. This webpage tells all about the application process to qualify a product. You can read an overview now where the webpage walks you through the steps of completing an application. And starting this Friday, the whole application portal will be active. Whether or not you choose to apply right away, please go to the website soon to create an account and subscribe to updates. That way, we can keep you informed with our latest news of new resources and events. To help make sense of the application, I'll explain a little about how each submitted application will be reviewed. In the application portal, as you fill out the online questionnaire, each question includes a space for supporting materials. You upload each file that you need to reference, and then for each question, you provide the file name and page number that has the appropriate information for that question. After an application is submitted, an EVCAN reviewer will review each answer in one of three ways. Certification, the first way, refers to testing by an accredited third-party test lab. The proof needed for each certification is described in the application and in a table in the EVCAN specification. For instance, to prove OCPP certification, you would upload a copy of a certified OCPP certificate from the OCA. Most capabilities are reviewed based on documents that are available to customers. Customer available means that documentation is for a finished product available publicly on a website, or included with the product packaging, or mentioned on a website as available to customers on request. For instance, demand response capabilities are evaluated based on customer available instructions for how to configure and use demand response. That's probably a section of the user manual or possibly a separate document devoted to demand response. Other capabilities are reviewed based on data examples with appropriate data headings provided by the applicant. The application form may specify in more detail the exact requirements and accepted data format. For instance, the capability to report specific uptime data collection metrics and data types via CSV file is evaluated based on examples of CSV files that you would upload to the EVCAN portal. After you submit an application, here's what the review process looks like. EVCAN will review the documentation for each answer. As soon as we're satisfied that all of the essential requirements are met, we will issue an invoice for the application fee. Then we'll continue reviewing the reported capabilities and compile any questions that need clarification. The reviewer will communicate back and forth with you until no questions remain, and then we'll notify you that the application has been accepted. After that, you'll pay the invoice and we'll add your system to our list of qualified products. Here's a recap of what's next. This Friday, the application portal will be available online at evcan.org, along with details about the application fee. After that, when the first cohort of products has been qualified, the qualified products list will be made available online. We will promote this list at industry conferences, utility roundtables, webinars, social media, and blogs. We will host roundtables and present more technical webinars, including one with more details about the application. Those are some of the ways that we want to support charge management in collaboration with interested parties such as yourselves, who have a stake in promoting charge management specifically with energy management. We welcome any questions and feedback that you have. We have some time now, and also if anything comes up in the future, please reach out to us at this email address that's in the chat. And most of all, please join us by creating an account at evcan.org, subscribing to our listserv, and especially by submitting applications to put your charge station management system on our new list. And here we are at time for questions. First question is for Carolyn. What shows, blogs, etc., are being targeted for promotions? You're on mute,
Yep,
Carolyn.
thank you. Great question. I'll start with the blog question. We really tend to shape our blog and thought leadership pieces around the key important factors of the specification. I would anticipate we're going to expand more deeply into why the OCPP certification is really important to interoperability. What does it mean to engage with OCA, and what is that helping to tell us about the product? Just to give one example, we'll also dig in because we've also heard some interest of getting a better understanding and kind of aligning around topics related to data analytics and reporting. How do we really start to get us all sort of headed in the same direction, I should say, around how should we be tracking data? What should reporting look like? How do we measure the data in a sort of a equivalent way so everyone's analyzing it in a similar capacity? So those are a couple of topics to start, but just think of, as you look through the specification, that's really where we're going to center a lot of our blog pieces in the beginning. Because then we can use those as we talk to more utilities and help reinforce with some of our broader organizations that we're talking to about why the specification is really important. In terms of conferences, I will follow up with some other direction on conferences we have in mind. I would just say that given the nature of the specification and its focus on charge management, we're really interested in and aiming to participate in conferences that focus on managed charging program strategies or load management, because that's kind of where we see that the specification can add a lot of benefit and value. I think that kind of covers, and I think just in terms of timing, now that we have the specification out, and once we have the application later this week, I would, definitely the second half of this year, our main focus is a lot on how we go about promoting the specification and engaging. As we mentioned earlier, we have a subset of utilities. We're going to be continuing to expand the forum of utilities that we're working with, and work, continue to work with them on how they can use the spec or the qualified product list that follows. I can move into the next question if you want, Levin. I can see them. So next question is, when do we expect the first QPL to be released? I'll just say we're targeting, I would say, early or mid Q3. So just in the coming months, we are hopeful that we'll have the first set of products that have gone through our review process and we can publish. So you all can start seeing how it is structured and be able to start to see how we build in filters and kind of easy capabilities for people to screen product and see the different characteristics of those products. Range of costs being considered for the fee. If you can hang in there, we are planning on publishing that on Friday, and I will be able to share that with you. So just hang in there, and it's coming. What utilities are committed already? I will say that we have a couple of large IOUs represented both in the Northeast and as well as a large municipal utility district in California. We also have a representation from Canada included. Just think Northeast, very progressive on topics related to managed charging and really looking at how to shape their programs going forward. So we're very excited to have them on board to be looking at this. And then I know as well as in California, looking at how they scale their managed charging programs forward. So I hope that helps to start. We'll share more as we get kind of permission to share their names as we go forward. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay. Well, again, at this stage, we're very, very interested in continuing to have conversations with you all. Please don't hesitate to reach out via email. Would love to set up a conversation with you if we haven't already. And happy to have one-on-one conversations to talk about the spec in more detail. If you have more detailed questions you want to work through with us, and then also just around the application process. But other than that, just look for an update from us on Friday on the official release of the application, as well as some information around the fee structure. So you have that. And I think we'll close on that note. Thank you everyone for joining and really appreciate your time today. And have a good rest of your week.